How's it going, everybody? Currently it is 1:44 in the morning, so doing my review of Eternals. I just got back, and yeah, let's talk about Eternals. Eternals is a brand new Marvel movie directed by Chloe Zhao, starring Gemma Chan, Richard Madden, and Angelina Jolie, and it follows a group called the Eternals on their quest to save humanity. First of all, as always, let's talk about the performances in this movie. One standout in this movie was Richard Madden. He gave a really good performance as Icarus, one of the Eternals who can shoot laser beams out of his eyes. Very cool character, and Richard Madden acted him very well. Gemma Chan plays Cersei. She's another one of the Eternals with a totally different power set, and her and Icarus sort of have a past. And Gemma Chan is also really good in this movie. Both Richard Madden and Gemma Chan are sort of the stars of this movie, and they're both really good. Angelina Jolie is also in the cast, and even though she's underused, I wish she had been in it a little bit more. When she is on screen, she's really good in the movie. Quite possibly the best performance in the movie. She's really good in this movie. And Kumail Nanjiani delivers a really funny, great performance as Kingo, who's another one of the Eternals. But everybody is good in this movie. Those were just some standouts that I noticed when I was watching. As you might have been able to tell from the trailers, this movie is very different from the traditional Marvel Cinematic Universe. My light just died. We'll make it work. You know what? Review goes on. So in the ways that this movie differs from the traditional MCU formula, I really love it. I mean, the movie opens with a scrolling title screen. Like, it's really cool in the way that it's different. And it's got a lot of different elements to the traditional Marvel movie. Chloe Zhao really takes the MCU in a new direction. It's definitely different, but it definitely also is respectful to its predecessors. It's not so different where it's kind of throwing it all out, but it's different enough to make it really fresh and interesting. This movie has stunning visuals and really great action. Throughout the movie, there's really epic set pieces, really cool visuals, stuff that's really beautiful to look at. And the action sequences are jam-packed, they're interesting, they're engaging, and they have a lot more stakes than maybe a traditional Marvel fight would. Another thing about this movie is it's really funny. A lot of the Marvel movies are funny. However, this is even more funny, aided with his sidekick in the movie who's sort of documenting their journey as they go along. It really adds a lot of levity to some of the darker moments of the movie, and it works really well. It's really funny in that way. The movie also has a great score. There's not a ton of music throughout the movie, but when it's going, it's really unique and interesting, which is something Marvel movies have started to branch out into. Shang-Chi also had a really interesting score. This movie continues that. Marvel has often had great scores, but they've really started to branch out onto a whole new level of scoring. It's 2 a.m. guys. Also in Eternals, there's some great visual effects. I had heard a lot of people complaining before the movie that the effects in this movie were just abhorrent. It was awful. After seeing the movie, I don't know what anyone was complaining about. There's a few shots where the CG isn't perfect, but that's with any Marvel movie. I feel like the CGI was actually better than the average Marvel movie. I don't really know what people were talking about. Overall, visually, it's really stunning and awesome. Actually, before going into the movie, I had heard 3 things about Eternals. That it had bad visual effects, that it was boring, and it had way too much exposition in it. I don't think any of these things are true. The movie has issues, but those are not issues with the movie. I was sitting through the movie for the first hour and a half thinking, people were crazy to rate this low at all. Through Act 1 and 2, I would have given the movie probably a 3 on my rating system, which translates to about an 8 out of 10. However, unfortunately, Act 3 does have some issues I'd like to touch on. First of all, the characters in the movie make moral decisions that as an audience member, I just can't really get on board with. The movie tries to paint certain characters in a morally good light and other characters in a morally bad light. But if you actually think about it, there's no way you could actually put the characters that the movie presents in a morally good light in that light. The morality of the movie doesn't really make sense, and it really falls apart in the third act. If you watch the movie, you'll see what I mean. It makes out a lot of the characters that should be good guys as bad guys, and a lot of the characters that are made out to be bad guys as good guys. And I think that could have been worked on. If that had been more defined and made every character a little bit more morally questionable, it would have been a lot more interesting. The characters also become muddled in the third act. I'm not really sure a lot of the character motivations, what characters really want, what they're trying to do, and throughout the movie that's actually really clear, but in Act 3 it kind of gets muddled. You just don't connect as much with the characters in the third act, which is unfortunate, because that had been a really strong suit earlier in the movie. I think that the movie should have either fully committed to its depth and run for maybe another 20 minutes. It's already a 2-hour and 40-minute movie. It could have easily tacked on another 20 minutes. Even if you wanted to hit 2 hours and 59 minutes, you could make it 2 hours and 59 minutes. I think it would have been a lot better movie, especially in the third act. They need just a little bit more time to work out some of those rough edges because this is a huge scale story and it deserves more time. And if Marvel was against giving the film more time, well then maybe it should have been a little shorter. Maybe it should have been a smaller scale adventure. But I think the film could have easily clocked in at 2 hours and 59 minutes and been a lot stronger for it. I really appreciate that Chloe Zhao and her team swung for the fences on this movie. They did something innovative. And even though it has problems, for 2/3 of the movie, it worked really, really well. And even though it had issues, I appreciate that they went for it. Overall, this is a movie totally worth seeing in theaters. I totally recommend going out seeing it in the theater. Even with the third act problems, it's still really interesting. It never gets boring, and it's a great movie to see. Eternals is currently sitting at 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's the first ever rotten MCU movie, and in my opinion this is completely undeserved. I think at the very least Thor: The Dark World and Captain Marvel were worse movies than this by a long shot. This movie in no way deserves to be rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. Please don't let that skew your judgment and convince you to not see this movie. Trust me, even though it's got problems, it's worth seeing. I'm gonna give Eternals a 1.5. So what did you think of the movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Comment down below. This movie is definitely a movie that benefits from talking about spoilers, so if you'd like me to do a spoiler review, comment down below and I'll make it. And make sure to stick around for the 2 post-credit scenes in Eternals. They're definitely worth waiting for. Anyway, it is now 2 a.m. and I'm gonna go chill for a little bit and then go to bed. Thank you all so much for watching and I'll see you very soon. Bye.